what it takes to go from poor to middle class. I recently made a video where I discussed how I went from homeless to millionaire. And in that video, I stated that I used to be poor growing up. So I wanted to make this video where I go into more detail of what it actually took to not just get out of poverty, but also how to become middle class. Because if you're watching this video, there is a very good chance that you are poor right now, or you know someone who is poor and you want to help them. Or maybe you just want to learn more about the different socioeconomic classes. Before I get into the video, I do want to state that I do think money or income is the best way to determine someone's socioeconomic status. However, in America, especially, money does play a big role, and these numbers will help you understand where someone stands financially. So here's what I consider to be the breakdown for each socioeconomic class in America. Upper class, you have $1 million or more in net worth. You can probably drive any car that you want, own multiple properties, and afford to travel whenever you want. Middle class, you have between $40,000 to $1 million in net worth. You can afford to buy most things that you want, but you might need to save up for larger purchases like a new car or a vacation. Working class, you have between $10,000 to $40,000 in net worth. You struggle month to month, and you could probably only afford one emergency fund. Underclass, you have less than $10,000 in net worth, and you are either broke or living paycheck to paycheck. So, let's say you were broke, or you currently broke, and you want to move up to the working class range. Here's what it takes. First off, you need to spend less than you earn and start saving. This is super important because if you are spending more money than you are making, then you're going to be broke forever. The way I like to look at it is that your income's the pie and your expenses are slices of that pie. If you have one slice and it's really big, then that means you're broke. But if you have multiple slices of equal size, then that means you are saving and investing money. So you want to find ways to cut costs and increase your income so you can have multiple slices that are not too big. Second, you need to stop wasting your money. I talked about this in my other video where I discussed my childhood, but we wasted a lot of money when I was growing up. We would buy things that we didn't need, and sometimes we wouldn't even pay our bills on time because we forgot about them. So you need to keep track of your finances and make sure you're repaying all your bills on time. Third, you need to build an emergency fund. When I say emergency fund, I mean having enough money saved up to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Emergencies happen all the time, and if you have an emergency fund, then you won't have to go into debt to pay for it. It's basically a safety buffer to keep you from going broke. Fourth, you need to pay off your debt. Debt is expensive, and it will keep you poor. When I was broke, I had a ton of debt from when I bought things that I didn't need and when I went to college. And it took me several years to pay off all my debt. But once I did, I was able to save a lot more money and invest that money. Fifth, you need to start investing. There are many ways to invest your money, but the best way is to invest in yourself. Educate yourself on personal finance, business, and entrepreneurship. That way, you can use that money to make more money. For example, I read a book about real estate investing, and that inspired me to invest in rental properties. Another example is that I learned about stock market investing online, and that led me to start my first stock market channel. So educate yourself and find a way to use your money to make more money. And finally, you need to set goals. If you don't have goals, then you're probably not going to do anything. So set some goals and work towards them every single day. Write down your goals. Visualize yourself achieving them and take action towards your goals every single day. So those are the 5 things that you need to do to go from broke to working class. But let us say you want to take it a step further and you want to become middle class. Well, here's what it takes. First off, you need to continue doing everything that I mentioned earlier. Those steps will ensure that you stay out of poverty. Secondly, you need to start building wealth. Wealth is not just about how much money you make, but it's also about how much money you keep and how much money you invest. So find a way to increase your income and keep more of it. Also, remember that investing is one of the best ways to grow your wealth. So invest as much money as you can into yourself and into different investments. Third, you need to take care of yourself when you're poor or broke. You might skip going to the doctor or buying healthy food because you don't have enough money, but taking care of yourself is super important. So make sure you eat healthy, exercise, and get enough sleep. That way, you can be productive and make more money. Fourth, you need to surround yourself with positive people. When you're poor, you might feel embarrassed or ashamed, and because of that, you might hang out with people who don't believe that they can make more money. But you need to surround yourself with people who are driven and motivated, because they will inspire you to do more. And finally, you need to keep learning. When you're poor, you might feel like you already know everything. After all, you've been poor for so long, but the truth is that there is always something new to learn. So keep learning about personal finance, business, and entrepreneurship. That way you can improve yourself and make more money. So those are the things that you need to do to go from broke to middle class. Now let's talk about why being middle class isn't always good. Sometimes it's better to be poor than middle class. Let me explain. When you're poor, you have very little responsibilities. You don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage, and you don't have a lot of other financial obligations. So you can work a low-paying job and still live paycheck to paycheck. But when you're middle class, you probably have a lot more responsibilities. You probably have a mortgage, kids, cars, and other things that you have to pay for. So if your income goes down or you lose your job, then you might not be able to keep up with your expenses. And if you don't have an emergency fund, then you'll go into debt. This is why it's so important to save money no matter what your income level is. If you save money every month and invest that money, then you will have something to fall back on if you ever lose your job or if your income goes down. I know a lot of people who are middle class and they live paycheck to paycheck. They never save any money and they're always in debt. So technically, they are worse off than someone who is poor and saving money. So yeah, sometimes it's better to be poor than middle class. It all depends on your situation. So what do you think? What does it take to go from poor to middle class? Leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.